The hosts feel it would be a little unkind to present this podcast without just a word of friendly warning. We are about to unfold the story of Frankenstein, a man of science who sought to create a man after his own image without reckoning upon God. It is one of the strangest tales ever told. It deals with the two great mysteries of creation, life and death. I think it will thrill you. It may shock you. It might even horrify you. So if any of you feel that you do not care to subject your nerves to such a strain, now's your chance to. Well, we've warned you.
Hello, and welcome once again to the Frankencast. I'm the mad scientist, Anthony Bowman. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm joined as always by...
the guy who always steals your good ideas and markets them as his own, Eric Velasquez. My pronouns are also he, him.
Yes.
Hey, do you know anything about Thomas Edison, Anthony?
Right. This movie that's known the world over as Edison's Frankenstein, which Thomas Edison did not direct.
Right. You know, I imagine if he could have gotten away with it, he would have taken full credit for that story.
Oh, for sure.
So yeah, we're going back to what, 1904?
I think it was released in 1910, but I'm not sure when it was filmed. I think it is officially the earliest adaptation of Frankenstein. I believe this one came out, and then there were maybe two that are now lost, and then the Universal one, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, fair enough. Wow.
But yeah, this one is directed by Searle Dawley, but because it was created for Edison's production company, everyone knows it as Edison's Frankenstein.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we really only have maybe 5 actors. We've got Frankenstein, Elizabeth, we've got Dad, and some random old guy, and then the monster. It's really
that's pretty much. There's like one guy in one scene who I think is kind of supposed to be Clerval, but I don't think is explicitly indicated as being him.
And he's only in there for like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
So six cast members.
Yeah.
All right. So how do we start this bad boy?
Yeah, so it starts off and you got the title card and it says a liberal adaptation. So, so we know right away. I mean, and of course this is like a 13-minute long short. So obviously we're not going to squeeze an entire novel into to that short a time.
Absolutely not the most comprehensive adaptation.
No, but it actually, surprisingly, it covers the main points, but then it also does some kind of interesting variation stuff, which you wouldn't think it would have really the room to do. Like it manages to squeeze in more than you would expect in a silent short.
Yeah, quite a bit actually.
Yeah, so like we start out like after the title card, we get the first I guess those are called title cards as well, where you have like the dialogue that you don't get from silent stuff, and it just says Frankenstein departs for college.
Right.
And we get like a very brief scene of him just literally leaving home to head to college.
Yeah, he's loving on Elizabeth for a very short amount of time, and then dons his cape and top hat before doffing off.
Yeah, and then we get another card that just says 2 years later, Frankenstein has discovered the mystery of life.
Right. So real quick, we basically yada 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 Waldman.
Yeah. So that's like half the book we've already covered in like less than a minute. Right. But that's what we need to do.
So another interesting thing, he's actually like kind of talking to a skull at this point. So we get a little bit of that magical angle.
Yeah, you definitely get like it almost kind of obviously kind of feels like it reminds you of like the Alas Poor Yorick thing, like the skull thing, but yeah, there's definitely like a skull, it's playing with like life and death, so we're obviously getting some sort of like gothic Frankensteinian imagery in here, and yeah, he's kind of like taking notes and working on his experiments and stuff, and yeah, I'm not sure, again because it's silent, I don't know if he's just talking to an actual just dead skull or if the skull is responding to him. Like if there's any, like you said, if it's magic or insanity or just, sometimes you talk to yourself when you're alone and you project that on, something that's around you.
Well, as I like to say, porque no los dos, right?
Right, yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, then we get another card that says, just before the experiment, Victor is writing Elizabeth a letter, which is already unique. So, usually we have, like, Elizabeth kind of being neglected during his studies.
Right, but not this Frankenstein.
Yeah, not only is he writing her a letter, but he is telling her what he's doing. Mm-hmm. So we're not going to have all that mystery of like him hiding his, his actions or whatever. He's like, I've discovered the secrets of life. I'm creating a new life, and as soon as I get that all straightened out, we'll get married soon, and everything will be great.
Yeah. So maybe that's actually the way that Frankenstein has his happy ending. He just tells Elizabeth what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I didn't mean to spoil the ending, but it's a different ending. But yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Not only that, but so he goes ahead and starts dumping chemicals into his creation.
Yeah, and this creation scene is very strange. But it feels like it maybe is a little bit closer to what happens in the book. As we have said, she kind of glosses over the specifics, but this does feel maybe a little bit, and it's definitely, like you said, there's chemicals involved. It feels more alchemical. And also the special effects here are really impressive for, 1910.
They're pretty cool for 1910. I mean, I would honestly say probably even going back to like 1940s or the 30s, this would be like, ooh, scary, because I mean, he throws the chemical concoction in this massive vat and then closes the door, and then we see basically this corpse reconstitute itself.
Yeah, it's like slowly kind of like arms kind of come up out of this cauldron, mm-hmm. And it's sort of skeletal, and then it starts kind of like forming flesh. And I looked at, because I kind of thought I knew what was going on here, but I looked it up just to see. But so they made like a puppet of the creature, because for most of this movie it's a guy like wearing kind of a raggedy costume or whatever. But they made kind of a puppet version, and I think they made it like an armature of something, and then like wax over it, and then they melted it, and then shot that in reverse. Right. So it makes like the wax just kind of crawls up the skeletal form and creates this creature.
You love it, I believe we saw it in Child's Play and things like that, but man, it's good to see a good drippy puppet in reverse motion. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then we have like Victor outside of the vault, and like the vault door kind of opens, mm-hmm. And you see like the creature's hands kind of reaching out, and Victor runs away.
Yeah, well, you know how we know this is a true Frankenstein adaptation? Because he passes out on the bed.
Yeah, so he passes out in terror, and then we see the creature kind of come in and like loom over Victor in bed. And yeah, the creature's it's like kind of goblin-like. It's got really long fingers, kind of claws. It's got like really crazy long hair that's just kind of sticking out in every direction.
Yeah, it looks like its face has been sewed on to the rest of the head.
Yeah.
It's really cool. I really like this design.
Yeah, it's really impressive considering that, they had no context. Like this is completely, a unique design that they can't, they're not basing on, decades of previous versions.
Right, exactly. This is kind of their own thing. So, yeah, I definitely dig that. But, so, yeah, as the creature, the monster, like, slowly slinks into the room proper, or at least from behind the bed covers.
Oh, yeah, it's like a canopy type bed,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Victor's going to do what Victor's going to do, or Frankenstein's going to do. He hops up, sees the creature, runs around a little bit, and then faints again.
Yeah.
And that's when we get Clerval.
Yeah, and so when he comes in, for some reason, like, the creature hides from him. Mm-hmm. So, Clerval just kind of comes in, sees a fainted Victor, and, carries him out. And then, we're all ready to, like, Victor returning home.
Right, exactly. And, this Victor, actually, when he returns home, he looks pretty happy. He's not like the, I fucked up Victor that we're so used to, He's like returning conqueror to a degree.
Yeah, there's definitely like a triumphant, like happy reunion. The family's there, which will kind of make sense because in the book, Victor comes home because William has died, and in this, there's not even a William.
Yeah, right.
So
there's no brothers. So, it's just Victor. Maybe that's another key to his success is not having siblings.
Yeah. We talked. We just talked about Terror of Frankenstein and then removing Justine, but here there's no Justine also, and then no William, so not only do we not have the person to murder William, we don't even have William. So
right,
it's
exactly.
And yeah, so then we get a title card that says, haunting his creator and jealous of his sweetheart, for the first time, the monster sees himself.
Right.
Which...
And this is an interesting scene because immediately, as soon as the title card goes away, you see the mirror and you're like, oh, that's going to be cool.
Yeah, it's definitely like one of those things. Yeah, like you said, it's just like you see that mirror. It's like a Chekhov's mirror kind of thing where you're just like, I don't know what's going to go on with that mirror, but it's definitely there for a reason.
Right. And then, of course, we get a nice little scene with Victor and Elizabeth. She makes him a little bit of tea and then goes off screen. And then we get our good friend the monster coming in.
Yeah, and so he comes in, and it's like we see him in the mirror, like reflected. Victor looks kind of scared, and then there's kind of like a confrontation between Victor and the creature that, of course, we don't know exactly what's being said or whatever. Like, it's not super violent, but it's not, there is like the creature kind of puts his hands on Victor, Right. But then, presumably, they hear Elizabeth coming, and again, like he did with Clerval, the creature goes and hides. Like, he doesn't want to be seen by anybody but Victor.
Well, he hides behind the...
some kind of, like, curtain, right? Yeah.
Yeah, he hides behind the curtain, just like a kid would, almost.
Yeah. And so then, Elizabeth comes back in, and, clearly Victor's like, okay, the dangerous monster's right there, so I need to get Elizabeth out of here.
Right.
So he kind of sends her away.
And as he does so, the monster, slinks to the other side of the curtain.
Yeah. And then he kind of, again, puts hands on Victor, and this time it's, kind of shaking him a little more. It looks a little bit more violent. Mm-hmm. But then, all of a sudden, he sees himself in the mirror. Right. Like we see so often, like when the creature finally sees his own reflection, he's kind of ashamed and starts to understand why people maybe don't trust him or want anything to do with him. So he kind of runs away.
And then we get before we go to the wedding night, can I just say how this actually gave me chills, because I sat there and I was like, if let's say I was just chilling at home and there was a mirror beside where I was sitting, and I looked in that mirror and saw a face at the door, how fucking terrifying would that be?
Right.
Yeah. So I was like, ooh, that's a good one. If I ever write my Frankenstein movie, that'll be in there.
Yeah, mirrors are just, they're such an important part of horror. Whether you've got vampires that you can't see, or seeing a ghost in the mirror that you don't see in real life, or all those moments where you've got the bathroom mirror and they close it and there's the
monster.
First there's not a reflection and then there is, where there's something's come up behind you while you're not looking. Right. It just, I think that even there's just all that stuff with people would cover mirrors during funerals because they were afraid that ghosts would get trapped in them and stuff. I think people have just been curious but slightly distrustful of mirrors ever since we invented mirrors, right. Pretty much.
Well, it's also kind of that uncanny valley thing. It's this is me, but it's not me. Or it's our world, but reflected. And the idea of the mirror world itself.
Yeah, everything's backwards, so maybe everything is, evil in some way.
Right.
Yeah. Mirrors are definitely a fun horror trope, and clearly they've been in horror films right from the get-go.
Exactly. But yeah, so we're going to the wedding night. Hey, you know what happens on the wedding night? The monster's going to be there with you on the wedding night.
Right. Basically, we get the end of the wedding. We don't see obviously we don't have time for a whole wedding ceremony.
Right. We basically get the bridal party all right, bye.
Yeah, it's Victor and Elizabeth kiss, and then we kind of, the last part of the movie is in this one room, and we have there's rooms on either side that we never see, but people kind of come and go into them. Mm-hmm. So Victor sends Elizabeth into the room to the left, which presumably is the bedroom. Yeah. And it seems like he's kind of preparing the house for the night. He's going around blowing out candles, kind of, locking doors and stuff, getting ready for bed.
Yeah. Then we get this really so this is kind of a bright, warm, orange umber color. And then whenever the candles are all blown out and the monster comes in after Victor does his rounds, it turns to a blue.
Yeah.
I was that's pretty cool. Okay. So we have a simulation of night.
Yeah. And I guess we should say, so this film was it was lost for a long time, then it was refound. The version we watched was the relatively recent Smithsonian remaster of it. Mm-hmm. And they these tints were in the original version, and I think they got lost at some point, and then the Smithsonian added them back. But like this is the way people would have seen it back then, with the like colorized. It's not in color; it's black and white, but just like the whole film is tinted different colors at different points.
Right, exactly. But it's very effective.
Yeah, like you said, you get that blue, and it's like he blew out the candle, so it's dark now. Like we lose the orange, we go to blue. It is definitely very effective.
So once the monster gets in, he decides he's gonna go ahead and have a little bit of a fight with Frank or Victor.
Yeah, and so like it ends up that like the creature ends up going into the bedroom where Elizabeth is. Mm-hmm. And Victor then realizes that, like, he sees that door is open, and he's like, oh, no. Right. Like, it was closed a minute ago. But then Victor's getting ready to, like, run in there to help Elizabeth. But instead, she kind of falls out of the door back into that main room and just kind of collapses to the floor. Yep. And it's like, oh, no, Elizabeth's dead. Like, that's what we're expecting.
Mm-hmm. But, however...
Yeah, in this case, she's just kind of, like, fainted. Like, the creature kind of comes in, and Victor and he, like, they have, like, a fight. Victor's got, like, a candelabra kind of thing that he's kind of hitting him with, which I guess is sort of like, fire. We always have to have, like, the creature facing off against fire.
Yeah. And, of course, as you mentioned, Elizabeth passes out because she is a true Frankenstein, after all.
Yeah. Yeah, and so, like, the fight happens, and then, like, the creature flees, and then that's kind of when Elizabeth wakes up. Mm-hmm. So, we didn't see what happened in the bedroom with her and the creature, but, like, every time that, that we have seen Elizabeth on screen, the creature and Elizabeth are never in a scene together.
Right.
Kind of implying that, like, there's the possibility that maybe Victor is imagining this in some way, because... Elizabeth can never confirm that the creature is there as far as what we're seeing on screen.
Right, and of course that doesn't get any better because the creature runs into the room with the mirror, sees itself, and it's like it's almost entranced or being absorbed into the mirror because for a moment there he's like setting, I guess the better word would be like convulsing, or he's like straining, and then he's no longer like, he dissolves from the quote-unquote real world, and you do see the reflection. But then after a bit, when Frankenstein comes in, he disappears from the reflection. So now Victor's left with, like, nothing to show for it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's real, like, the way that all is done, and of course, this is, again, like, camera tricks to be able to accomplish all of this back back then. But yeah, like the creature fades out of the real world, and Victor sees him in the mirror, and it's like, but then so Victor's standing in front of the mirror, and he's not reflected in the mirror. The creature is, right. And then yeah, like you said, slowly the creature kind of fades away, and then it's like Victor's pointing at the creature, and then the creature's gone, and he's pointing at himself,
right?
Which feels like
maybe it's a bit more Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Yeah, like there's definitely a lot that you could read into this that, like, maybe Victor's pointing at the monster, but actually Victor's the monster.
Dun, dun, dun.
Whether like the creature existed, but Victor's the true monster, or maybe Victor was the monster itself. And like had these sort of, it's almost like Fight Club or something.
Right.
Like he's imagined all these scenarios where there are two of him, but it's really just been him the whole time.
Right. So the truth is, the alchemy he was with just got him really high. And he's had a bad LSD trip the whole time.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely, a way that you could interpret this.
But at the end, we have the happy couple rejoice, reunite, and that it's a happy ending we get for Victor and Elizabeth. Yeah,
it's a very rare instance where, Victor and Elizabeth kind of get to, go into the sunset together.
And you know what else we get? An abrupt ending! Yes! Yes!
Yep, so definitely set that precedent right away that we gotta just... Yeah, I think it just cuts and it just says like March 18th, 1910, so I guess that was the release date. I think that might have actually even been a title card that was added after the fact by the Smithsonian or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, so, super quick, super efficient... manages to kind of get the bullet points of the novel while also coming up with some kind of creative variations. So pretty impressive for, the first, film adaptation.
Right. I mean, even though this is technically a short, yeah, you know what? This is probably one of the creepy, well, for its length, I guess, one of the creepier Frankenstein adaptations. I definitely liked it. It definitely had a mood. Maybe not creepy, but definitely moody. And I did.
Yeah. And everybody in it, like Charles Ogle is the actor who plays the monster, and yeah, I mean he does a lot. Like he's again, like if you watch much silent movies, you got to do a lot with your face because you can't do anything with words.
Right.
And he's even under a bunch of makeup, and he still manages to have a pretty expressive face that's a little between like his real face and the makeup, like it's a little jarring. Like it doesn't look real. It's effective makeup considering there's not much going on with it, and that they didn't have a lot of the technology that we have now, or that they would have had, even 20 years later or whatever.
Yeah, I would definitely say though, still worth a watch.
Absolutely, and this one's pretty easy to track down. Like I believe the Smithsonian one is just on YouTube. Like they just made it available to the public. So I mean, obviously it's well into the public domain.
You gotta love that.
Yeah. So yep, definitely recommend that. It's a quick 20, like not even 15 minutes, so shorter than a TV episode.
Right.
Yeah. So definitely worth your time.
Fair enough. All right, Anthony. We got anything else to say?
That's all we got on that. So also this, we should say, is our 1 year anniversary.
Happy anniversary!
Yeah. So, that's why we picked this, is like, if we're we've done this for a year, we should kind of look back to, as far back as we can go talking about Frankenstein movies.
Yeah. Kind of the one that started it all, right?
Yeah. So, we really appreciate everybody, being with us for this crazy ride. Hopefully we'll be celebrating another one of these a year from now.
Right.
And, I mean, it's been wild. Like, I feel like we've learned a lot. We've watched, seen some movies we've not seen before, and gotten to revisit some beloved classics that, was fun to talk about and kind of, dig into and analyze.
Yeah.
Do you have some favorites you found this over the course of this year?
You know what? I absolutely have to say that I loved the what was it? Frankenstein: The True Story. That was the two-parter with Polidori and everything. No, the Dan Curtis one. I did like that one. It was the Dan Curtis Frankenstein that I loved.
Oh yeah, that one. Yeah, it was just called Frankenstein. Yeah, that's definitely one of my favorites too. And I thought I had seen it before we watched it for this, and it was a new discovery for me. And that's definitely been a high point of this year for me.
Yeah, and the one with Polidori was fun. It was just fun.
Oh, absolutely.
I still love the Hammer Frankenstein movies. Those will always be in my heart, except for the rapey Frankenstein. I don't know if we could say that one. Didn't like that one too much, but
yeah, that one's unfortunate.
Yeah, Action Frankenstein is great though.
Yeah, I definitely enjoy it. Those were ones that like I watched late in life, and the first time I watched them, I wasn't like. I wasn't in the right headspace for them, and so I was like, these are fine, but they didn't really do much for me. But yeah, this time around, I was just like, hell yeah, these are so great.
Yeah, and also I had watched kind of the original Universal movies, but like basically the first of each. I hadn't delved deep, and it's really fun to actually see Bela Lugosi play other things. Maybe not so much when he plays the monster. I think that was a better call to make Karloff the monster to begin with. But absolutely, watching him play Igor he's one of my favorite villains of all time.
Yeah, Igor. It's such a shame that when most people like think of Igor, they're not really thinking of the Igor from the Universal movies. That's more like a Fritz type character, because Igor is such an interesting, unique character.
Yeah,
and in the Universal movies, other than the creature, he's really the only character who like carries over from one to another. I mean, I guess Larry Talbot does as well, but like,
right, you can't get rid of that guy.
Yeah, but he gets a nice arc over I think just two movies, but yeah, it's or I guess three technically if you count the Lugosi creature as being Igor's brain inside the creature.
Right, which is really fascinating that they just cut out the Igor speaking through the monster. That's such a weird thing, but I guess also that's probably a heavy departure and people didn't like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that because I think they did film it that way, and then maybe it tested badly or whatever. But yeah, God, I wish that footage existed somewhere. I would kill to see that.
I would love that cut of that movie. It would be amazing.
Yeah.
All right, but what about you, Anthony? Is there something you learned that you didn't know previously? Did you find a new favorite?
I think the one that I agree with you about the Dan Curtis one, but another one was the one the anime one, the Kaiki Densetsu, right? That one, I was aware of it, but had never seen it, and man, that movie really got to me. It was really impressive. Like, that's the only one that I have rewatched since we did the episode because I liked it so much that I was like, a couple days later, I was like, I gotta watch that again. It was just so good.
Right. You gotta love an anime that gives you feels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we definitely went into that, but like the religious stuff in that one just really like got me good. But just that creature is just seeing all that stuff with him with the family and like actually getting a really good long extended section where he has friends, right, and then to lose it all was just it was rough, but it was just so well done.
Right, I agree with that. So maybe in the next couple weeks we'll have something fun happen with Marvel. Who knows what's going on with that? Yeah.
There's the trailer for that Werewolf by Night. There was like a thing in there that was kind of Frankensteinian, but I don't think it's the creature. It almost looked like, I forget the guy's name. There's like a British philosopher who is like mummified in a box at like a university. Is it Fort or is it John Dee? It's one of those kind of like, right, alchemist kind of dudes. But he's like, still technically on the board of the college where he,
right,
worked or whatever. And it's just like he's in a glass box that they just like keep in a corner.
Oh, Ulysses Bloodstone. That's the character's name.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I think we might actually. This could be me. I know we're gonna see Man-Thing, which is weird that we're gonna get that. But also, I think I saw something that had a little bit of a flat top. I could be wrong. I could be completely crazy, but I think I saw a monster in there. That was.
I'm hoping so. I mean, it just makes sense with obviously Marvel is just they're at the top of their game right now. Everybody loves them. They want more Marvel content, and I think of Marvel's just gonna keep going until people get tired of them. So I mean, I think clearly them kind of going into this horror realm with a new Blade movie coming, and obviously with the Werewolf by Night, like it just it feels like it's coming.
Yeah, it's time. And you know what I want? I want more Frankenstein content. So let's go.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you have any favorite episodes that we've done? I was thinking about that, like. I kind of obsessively like go back and look at like how many people have listened to each episode, and one that like I don't think as many people has watched, possibly just because like they don't have any way to track down the actual film, is the which, and of course I can't blame them if they but they haven't listened to our episode, but like the Italian Reanimator, I think, is still one of my favorite episodes of ours. Like that movie was terrible. It was probably the worst thing we've watched this whole year. But boy, that episode was fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun to talk about. That and not just Reagitated. That was a wild ride in of itself. What was the one where the three women were pieced together into one?
Oh, Patchwork.
Yeah, that was fun. I enjoyed that one. That was a lot of fun talking and noticing the orange juice and cereal combo. I think that's becoming a thing because I could have swore I saw somebody eating cereal with apple juice the other day in something I was watching, and I'm like, oh, is this a thing? Is this an underground thing? We have fruit juice with our cereal now? Okay.
Yeah. So the orange juice thing, I like put something. I don't know. We probably have people who listen who don't follow us on Twitter, but like soon after that, like curiosity got the best of me, and I recorded a video of me trying it and put it on Twitter.
I loved it. It was great.
And like a couple of days later, our friend Dawn, who was in our Blackenstein episode, he showed it to his wife, and I saw her, and she was like, I saw a video of you eating cereal with orange juice yesterday.
Yes!
And I was like, yeah. It's, I can't justify it.
Right.
But I was like, it was better than you would think.
Yep. Absolutely. Maybe we could get this to catch on. Who knows? No. But yeah, that kind of stuff, I enjoy the hell out of it. Just the weird, like, niche stuff that we find. And, I want to make all this available to everybody one day.
Yeah.
Or at least all the content that's really hard to find.
Yeah, it's been, that is the one hard thing is, like, we're doing, we talk about a lot of obscure movies, and sometimes that means we talk about movies that I have, tracked down a, weird, Argentinian bootleg or whatever, and like, so sometimes it's like I don't expect people to go that far out of their way to find things, but hopefully we're doing a good enough job of like covering things that whether you've seen it or not, you can get something out of it. We that's why we try to go pretty in depth in the plot, and then kind of dig in a little deeper as we go as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And those episodes with Santos, those were just fun.
Yeah, I've actually been digging around, and apparently there are a couple other Santos movies that have Frankensteinian things in them that we might be able to do another little series of Santos movies somewhere down the line.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, and I think another thing that it's just been super fun to like find creators that are doing new stuff about related to Frankenstein, and get to talk to some of those people. We've talked to a couple of authors and a couple directors, and it's nice to know that the torch is continuing to be passed and more people are making stuff, and hopefully we'll get to continue to talk. We've made jokes about like getting free stuff, and that's cool and everything, but like also it's just really great to support independent creators who are who like the same stuff we like and are trying to make more of it for us all to enjoy.
Yeah, absolutely. Like Paul Sereno and Julian David Stone, meeting those guys, Don Glut, it was just a blast. And then
just just a week or two ago, we talked to Tim Kirk, and he was so much fun. Like I've already been like talking to him more, that like we're probably gonna, because we're having so much fun talking to him, we'll probably get him on again, even though it'll be talking about non-Frankenstein related stuff, just because like we just really got along well with him.
Yeah, I'm not. We can cut this if this offends anybody, but I'm gonna say talking to Tim Kirk was like just meeting a friend I hadn't talked to in a long time, and I had never met the guy before in my life.
Yeah, I agree. Like like we said, like as soon as we signed onto the call, he was just like off to the races. He was just ready to talk about Frankenstein, and we just had a blast.
Absolutely.
So we definitely expect to hear more from him in the future, and we'll keep you all posted as he does new things, because that's the kind of creator that we like to support.
Absolutely, 100%. So Anthony, going back to you. So what's your number one favorite episode that you've done so far? Like out of all of them, what is your favorite?
I think that like I said, I think that Italian Reanimator one is probably our most fun episode. But I think maybe our best episode, and like was one of the hardest ones we had to record, was the Skin I Live In one. Like that one,
okay.
It felt very raw when that came out. Like it just coincidentally found the right or wrong time to talk about that movie. Considering what was going on in the world, and is still going on in the world. And it was very cathartic to have this upsetting and strange movie as like sort of a canvas to have this conversation on top of. And I hope that it was helpful to other people who maybe were dealing with some stuff as that new news had come out, that all the Roe stuff, like it felt like a good way for us in our sort of weird niche of talking about Frankenstein movies, for us to keep doing what we do, but in a way where we were acknowledging what was going on in the world, and kind of analyzing how that's been like an ongoing problem in human society since long before this particular Supreme Court hearing or whatever.
Exactly.
Did you say a favorite episode? I was gonna say
I said many, because I have that problem where I can't have a single favorite.
Yeah, it's been such a good time. Like there's not an episode, like I really don't think there's one where where we've gotten off the call and I've been like, man, that one was kind of a dud. Like
right.
It's just been fun. I mean, I hope everybody else feels that way. We're just two friends talking, so it's a good time, no matter what for us. But hopefully they're all sticking for everybody else as well.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I feel like our joy at this may be infectious. I hope, but yeah, you know, because every time we get off, we're like, that was a good one. That was a good one. Yeah. I think maybe like our first 3, we were like, well, that was kind of rough, but you know.
Yeah, as we've gone, it's just like every time we're like, I think we're getting better at this. Right. I think this is. Yeah.
Listen, if we're not, I don't want to hear it because I don't need my dreams crushed like that. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, you know, we definitely welcome rates and reviews, but you know, 5 stars only on the iTunes. If you got problems, reach out to us at Gmail. We're happy to discuss. You know, we'd love to hear constructive criticism.
Yeah, I'm really good at pressing that delete button. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, no, we actually welcome constructive criticism.
We've not really gotten any criticism, but we've definitely talked to a lot of people on, you know, over email and, you know, Twitter and Instagram, and that's been a lot of fun. You know, we plug that every week, but not just because, you know, we always talk about the algorithms and stuff, and like that engagement is helpful, but like we legitimately do want to talk to you guys. Like we have fun with it. So, you know, every time, you know, we get notifications in Twitter or whatever, like I'm always excited to jump on there and see what people are talking about. So yeah, we definitely, you know, it's at the Frankencast and all those places, but like, yeah, definitely love. That's been one of the really nice things about this year is like, you know, I feel like there's a couple people who like we have like genuinely become friends with because of, you know, just chatting about Frankenstein on social media with them.
Yeah, the last book on the shelf guys. I mean, Hayden, TJ, John.
Yeah, chatting with those guys a couple of times has been really nice, and yeah, talking to them online, and you know, we gotten to be on the Dads from the Crypt podcast, and that was also a lot of fun. So yeah, it's been nice. We really enjoy talking to everybody, and you know, interacting on you know, getting other people on our show and getting to be on other people's shows and just kind of spread the love of horror movies and monsters and, you know, Frankenstein especially, but just, you know, all that good stuff.
100%. We could talk about horror movies all day. And we kind of have many times over.
Yeah, at this point, if you like tried to like just stay up and binge through our whole catalog, you've got a couple days worth of material, especially if you get into the Patreon.
That's right. And honestly, like, I'm not trying to shill for us. I mean, I kind of am, but like, I think our Patreon episodes have been pretty damn good. Like, I like the Munster stuff, but our kind of off the cuff conversations are also just fun.
Yeah, we've been, you know, kind of really entrenched in like the Munsters Month thing over there for a little bit, and those, like you said, they've been a lot of fun. But yeah, I'm excited to kind of get back to just some weird one-off things as well. There, like it's really fun to just like sit down without like a complete outline of what we're gonna go through and just see what happens.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I don't know if it's magic, but it's fun.
Some of them are. I think some of them have been like some of our best episodes, actually. Like, you know, we always talk about the what makes a Frankenstein movie episode, our very first Patreon episode. And yeah, I mean, that's definitely among some of my favorite stuff we've ever recorded.
Yeah, easily. But, but this is kind of a off the wall thing. But, you know, we were talking about how long we could be doing this potentially. At this moment, looking at our schedule, we potentially have another, 250 to 300 episodes?
Yeah.
Like, there is a lot
assuming,
of
you know,
content.
50-ish a year, that's a couple more years.
Yep, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Make more Frankenstein stuff and we'll talk about it.
Absolutely.
Yep, fair enough. All right, you got anything else?
I think that covers it. So we just thank you all so much for going along with us for this ride, you know, for the past year, and hope to see you for the oncoming how many ever years we're able to keep doing this. You know, we welcome, like we said, all the, you know, social media engagement, rates and reviews, and Patreon and stuff, but really just we're happy to just have you here listening with us, you know, week by week. That's enough. It's been a real joy to get to do this for a year.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm glad we definitely, the moment you threw that up on Twitter and was like, will anyone talk to me about Frankenstein stuff? I'm really glad that I was like, hell yes, I will.
Me too. Yeah, I didn't know if anybody would bite. I had no idea who, if anybody would. And yeah, I was like, oh, Eric, yeah, that'd be interesting. We don't get to talk too much. That'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And yeah, it has been. It's been so much fun.
Indeed it has. All right, folks. Well, we've plugged everything we can plug already. I think we've chugged everything we can chug already. But yeah, the only thing I could say is I think next time we got some brand new Munster stuff to dust off.
Hopefully, yeah. It should be. I think when this episode airs, the Munsters film will have just come out. We thought we'd give everybody a week to kind of get to catch up on it and everything. So if all goes according to plan, we record a couple weeks in advance, so it's not out yet to us, but we will be able to watch that, and it should be, the Rob Zombie movie finally out for everybody to see.
Right.
And you'll get to find out what we have to say about it next week.
Yep. And as always, to be continued.
Looks like you survived another episode. The Frankencast is a production of FCR Media. It's hosted by Anthony Bowman and Eric Velasquez. Follow us on Twitter at The Frankencast, or send us a letter at thefrankencast@gmail.com. Our cover art is by Amanda Keller. You can find her at Keller Illustrations on Instagram. Our theme music is by Vivek Abhishek. Thanks for listening.